So first of all, I want to commend each one of y'all for going through this program. When people take time to learn about county government or city government, especially in the communities that we live in, I think it makes us all better. And so thank you all for the time that you're dedicating to doing this. My daughter went through this one and my wife did the Georgetown program, and they were both just blown away and just how much that they learned. So again, I appreciate y'all being here. I know it's a big commitment. My name's Kevin Wilkie. I am the constable for Precinct 3. My office is downstairs. I have worked at the constable's office since June of 2017 when I was hired as a deputy. And about 2.5 years ago, I was promoted to sergeant. And then I won the election and got sworn in as constable on January 1st. Prior to that, I was with the Texas Highway Patrol for 28 years, retiring as a captain. And then prior to that, I served 4 years in the Army, active duty Army. So a little bit about myself. But more important than any of that, I'm a grandpa, I'm a dad, my daughter just got engaged, and I'm a husband. So that's more important than anything else, right? So who all knows what a constable does or what the constable is? Okay, so we've got one. I'll tell you, when my 28 years in Highway Patrol, I didn't know. I spent a lot of time out in West Texas in a 3-trooper duty station, and the constable that we had, I met one time in the 6 years that I was there, and his job was to bailiff the JP court, and that's what he did. The sheriff's office served all the papers, right? And then Highway Patrol, we would assist them on warrants and things like that, right? The sheriff's office. We had 2 deputies out on average, so we were a very small law enforcement community there. So basically, in 1832, Stephen Austin appointed the first justice of the peace. Realized that there was some nefarious behavior going on in Texas at that time in the colony, and so appointed a justice of the peace. Fairly quickly, the justice of the peace that was appointed said, hey, I need somebody to help keep some order when I'm taking fines or when I'm kind of upholding the law. So they appointed a constable. So the first law enforcement agency or first law enforcement officers in the state of Texas was the constable. So the justice of the peace and the constable are known as the people's judge and the people's police, or the people's law enforcement. So a constable being over a precinct, we are the closest, the most easily accessible to the people in a precinct, right? That's not saying that the sheriff's office is not very accessible. We've got an incredible sheriff's office, and we've got incredible police departments. Our officers work anywhere in the county. We help out the other 3 precincts. We're very fortunate here in Williamson County to have very close relationships between all agencies. The one thing, and I can't speak for the other precincts, so I'm not saying anything negative about anybody, but the support that we receive in Precinct 3 from the folks in this precinct is unbelievable. We get feedback. If somebody's concerned about the way one of my deputies does something, I tend to hear about it. But also, the amount of people that will send an email or send a text, folks that have my number, complimenting that even during a tough situation, the way that our deputies treat people. And again, to me, I think that that's a reflection of how I was raised as a young baby trooper, on how you treat people, and then the way, I don't know if anybody knew Kevin Stoffel when he was a constable here. He's the one that hired me, and so it's all of these things that we try to bring, right, on how to take care of folks and how to treat folks. Constitutionally, our only required job is to bailiff the justice of the peace court. Okay, so that is set in Texas Constitution. We're one of the few Texas Constitution offices. Now, what we do in Williamson County, all 4 of the constable offices, we bailiff the justice of the peace courts, We serve any of the court papers. So any kind of paper that comes out of a court, whether it's an eviction, a tax paper, a writ of attachment, a protective order, divorce papers, anything, the truancy papers, anything that comes out of a court, we go and serve those, all right? Some of them are just very, nothing to them. You go serve them, they're no big deal. The ones that are difficult is when you have to go remove a child. And so whenever we've got a situation where we're removing a child out of a house, we do a lot of research, we find out what we can find out, and we try to have people with us to help alleviate any trauma for the child. We don't go in there kicking doors in and being all crazy with them, but there have been times where they've turned into use of force situations. And what we try to do is have somebody shield the child, get them to a safe spot, and handle it like that. Other times, they go very smooth. But a lot of it, I think, is the approach that we take. We pregame on it, we get resources, and we try to go in there understanding that it's traumatic for everybody involved. So we do put a lot of emphasis on that. One of the other things that can be pretty difficult is when we're doing evictions. We have our repeat customers that every other month we're evicting them from somewhere else because they just never pay the rent or they decide that they're going to do things that they shouldn't do. Okay, those are kind of easy. Where it gets difficult is when we've got, say, a single parent and maybe there was an illness, maybe there was a divorce, maybe we have a vet who's going through some type of PTSD type situation or something that's out of their control. On those, what we do is, if we're dealing with a veteran, we get with our veteran services here downstairs who are absolutely phenomenal, unbelievable group that we have. We'll get with them prior to going out and doing the eviction. And we try to see what resources. Is there anything that we can offer? Can we try to get them a place to stay for a few days? Are they needing medication? Are they needing an appointment? What can we do to try to help these folks so that when we take their stuff out today, they're not just sitting on the street? And then the same thing with families. We will get a hold of different groups within the community, faith-based. Some of them are nonprofits. And then some of them are through the mental health, different agencies. And so we attempt to do what we can to remember that we're dealing with human beings and we're dealing with somebody's mom or dad or son or daughter or brother or sister. So that's sort of my philosophy and my office's philosophy on how we treat people. So we do the security here, the bailiff here, we do the court papers, we serve warrants, anything from traffic to felony level warrants. So we handle all of the environmental crimes. So the constables in this county do all of the environmental crimes. And so the most common that we get are illegal dumping, illegal burning, or burning illegal items like tires or other things that'll send up toxins and things like that. Last year we had a individual that rented a couple of acres of land outside of Florence, Texas, and decided that him and his partner were starting a roof shingle recycling plant, which consisted of about 10 or 12 20-foot tall, probably 30-foot round piles that were just sitting there. And so my deputy was out working, my environmental deputy, so we have one full-time environmental deputy, and with the growth, I'm fixing to hire another one, and that's their primary focus. I mean, they'll still do other things, but that's their primary focus. So we go out there, and this is an unbelievable, it's felony offense, and it's just unbelievable to try to describe this. So we got with the county attorney, got with the district attorney, and kind of came up with a game plan that we would file a misdemeanor charge if they would clean it up. So it took them about 8.5 months to clean it up because we required that they brought us receipts from a legitimate, licensed shingle recycle plant. Part of what they also had to do is TCEQ came out and measured the ground, did ground test. So we had anywhere from 9 to 18 inches of soil that had to be cleared and hauled off because of all of the oils going down from the shingles. And they were probably 3/4 of a mile from a dry creek bed. So the first time that we get a rain and it washes, now we've got a waterway, a Texas waterway. There's a word that they use at TCEQ, but basically pollution, right? And so, you know, I like I said, I didn't know any of this stuff till I got into this, right? Well, eventually, some of these dry creek beds may end up in the river or in the lake, and then it can start affecting fish and all sorts of stuff. So we ended up getting that cleaned up, and it saved the county a little bit over $100,000 of taxpayer money if the county would have had to clean it all up. And so, again, we kind of took that approach, right? So it took a while to get it done, but we got it done. And then our deputies, they're out and about. If we're the closest to a call, we'll respond to it. If we notice that there's a high priority call and you've got a sheriff's deputy that's his or her nearest backup is 20 or 30 minutes away, and if we're closer, we self-initiate and go out and answer calls with them. We have been serving papers at apartments in Georgetown when a call goes out of a domestic that's in the building right next to where we're at. So, I mean, our deputies will go respond and at least hold scene, secure and hold scene or whatever till the local agency gets there. So we do a little bit of everything, right? They're all peace officers. We work school zones in 2 schools in Round Rock because they've reached out to us. We do Fern Bluff and Brushy Creek elementary schools. And so, not every single morning, but the majority of mornings and afternoons, if we're able to, we have deputies out there. And that's not one of our that's not one of our primary duties, but when you've got the community reaching out and asking us, hey, can you please help? As we're able to, then we do it. Because again, I'm a dad, I'm a grandpa, right? And I know what it's like having kids and people going to school. You may, if you live in Precinct 3, there may be times where you'll see one of our units parked like in a neighborhood park or parked at a school, just in a parking lot, or sometimes in the banks, right? A bank parking lot. And what I've asked the deputies to do is when you're doing your reports, when you're kind of on a little bit of a downtime and you're sorting papers and things like that, be visible, right? So why would we want to have a unit parked in a bank parking lot? Does anybody have any idea?
Deter crime.
What is one of the biggest things that's going on around Texas right now? There's a name for it. It's not a bank robbery.
It's got to be one of those things.
Yes, right. It's the folks who, when you come out, they follow you home. All right? And so I don't know if it's deterred any or not. But I would like to think, though, that if somebody's thinking about doing something and there's one of our units parked there with a deputy in there, you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know, but it's a deterrent. Parking in a school parking lot. It's just to have another presence of a law enforcement vehicle at a school. And the same thing in the parks, right? It's just being in some of these different neighborhoods. And that's where I've got to meet so many people, is just driving through in the morning or in the afternoon with my windows rolled down. Somebody's out walking a dog. Well, I'm a dog person, so I'll start talking to them. If they have a German Shepherd, or what I call mine, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but those are just good ways to build community relationships. There are a total, in my office downstairs, a total of 12 commissioned officers and then 3 support staff. I have 2 analysts who do all of our papers for us. So when we get a court order that comes in, we run checks. We look for if there's any threats, if there's warrants, maybe if there's some mental health issues in the past, so that we can try to have a resource set up, right? Because you go and serve a paper to somebody, and it may be a paper that to any one of us would be nothing, right? It might be a tax paper. It's no big deal, right? Some people, they may not understand it, and it may crush them. And so if you've got somebody that can kind of help, when we're able to, we do things like that. I'm probably leaving some stuff out, and I'm probably also boring y'all, but any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you get involved with people who may become hoarders and it may become dangerous? And how do those cases come to you? Through citizen phone calls or through courts? Or?
Yeah, great question. So she's asking about if we get involved with hoarders. A decent amount of the evictions we do involve hoarders. Not all, and I can't give you a percentage, but a fair amount. And so generally, there's issues going on, right, when somebody's doing that. We try, if they have family, we try to get family involved to help. I mean, we contact, CPS or APS, depending on, what we're dealing with. The thing about it is, unless somebody makes an outcry or they threaten themselves or they make some kind of a self-harm threat or something like that, we're sort of limited on what we can force somebody to do. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of common, and what'll happen is the landlord will have somebody that will unload everything out of the apartment or out of the house, and then it gets set on the front yard or along, it can't be on the right of way, but on the front yard. So what'll happen a lot of times is somebody will have a U-Haul, like they'll rent it, and then the landlord, they'll just load the U-Haul for them. Makes it easy for everybody. We will allow people to get, personal possessions. They may say, I don't want to take everything, but I need to have this, 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 and this. And of course, we let them take their stuff. And this is one of the few times I'll say every hoarder that we've dealt with, every single item is an important personal possession. It could be a fork. It could be a napkin. So yeah, it's just trying to be as kind as you can, as gentle as you can. Yeah, but yeah, those are tough,
What if the house has been abandoned and let's say a hoarder situation, maybe the person who lived there passed away.
Uh-huh.
So it's actually the owner, it's not a rental eviction type of thing.
So that's going to go a complete different route. So we're going to refer that. So I mean that you're going to end up in court, and so you're saying that because like I guess I'm trying to understand how you're asking.
So if the owner passed away that owned the home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been abandoned, and it was a hoarder home as well, and so for years no one has lived there, and I mean there's like the roots coming down in that kind of situation.
Okay, so where we can get involved are under different abatement laws and nuisance laws. So if somebody has a house it's getting mold and it's kind of falling apart, and then you're generally going to have mice, snakes, bugs, different types of things. Generally then the yard's going to overgrow, and then you're going to have the mosquito problems. So then there are remedies that we can do. You contact whoever the trust or the trustee or whoever that house or property would fall under. A lot of times they're out of state, and so they don't know what's going on as far as with the condition of the house. We will give a certain amount of time to start taking care of it, to start getting it cleaned up. And then eventually if they don't, then there's other remedies that start taking a while. Where basically the county can take over the house and clean it and then sell it. So, sadly, a lot of times they have to tear it down. So, yeah, so we get some of that stuff. Yes, sir.
What do you do, like all the papers that you serve, if someone is home, but they refuse to answer the door?
So, very good question, and that happens. So it depends on the kind of paper. So some papers have to be handed directly to the individual, right? Face-to-face have to hand it. Some papers, you can be through the door and you know, I'm not going to answer the door, I'm not coming out. If I can see who you are, or if I can look in the window, I can say, all right, here's your paper. It's on your, and of course, everything we do is on camera. Some papers, some of them, then we'll notify the court and we'll say, look, there was an individual there. We're not sure who it was. We talked to a neighbor. They say that the person lives here. We saw an Amazon package. Then we can get what's called a alternate service or a substitute service. And that's where we'll certify mail it and we'll post a copy of it on the door. But at the end of the day, because remember, we're dealing with civil, we're not dealing with criminal on these papers. If somebody says, I don't want it, I'm not going to take it, all right, we'll just refer it back to the court, let them know, and then generally they're going to have us do that alternate or that substitute service, and then that counts as service. We're not going to get in an argument. I'm not going to argue with you over that. We've been doing, and thankfully my deputies all have a lot of experience, or for you younger folks, that means they're old. But we know how to talk to folks, and I'm not going to get in an argument over a civil paper with somebody. You know what? Because at the end of the day, we're still all neighbors. We're still all members of this community. So I'm really big on how we treat folks. But that's a great question because we do run into that. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you all very much.